here, and Sally and Hannah here from the who manage Fat Tuesday these days. It's fantastic.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming this evening.
Certainly you will know a lot of the history of how all these sort of things sort of link up, but some of you won't, so I apologise to the people who know your history and about Lent and all the rest of it, but just to sort of give you a bit of a brief background of what my thinking was in a deranged way of actually coming up with this. It does have ancient roots, and the idea of this time of year, people do get bored, not just like me, the ancients got bored as well, so they came up with festivals, pre-Christian festivals, just to not pass the time of day. They were rooted in their own traditions at the time. But the big one that keeps coming up in everything I've read about Fat Tuesday and Carnival is Saturnalia. Now this is a kind of a midwinter festival, Roman festival, and it looks quite a laugh actually, doesn't it? And so it happened, in the run-up to what we now call Christmas. So it started on the 17th of December, it went up to the 24th of December. And the Romans had the Julian calendar, and actually they were Christians by that time, and the Pope at the time made the 25th the actual sort of key day of it, which is kind of interesting, our Christmas today. And as you can see, there was drinking, there was feasting, there were cakes with tokens in them, and there was Lord of Misrule. There were the servants would actually be the masters for the day, and the masters would be the servants for the day. So it was kind of like the world turned upside down, really. And a lot of that bacchanalian sort of stuff and partying was just been passed down and manifests itself through many different ways through, all parts of the world, particularly in the context of Carnival and Fat Tuesday. And for example, 12th night, we had a cake, and where's Ian? Ian puts this show on. We're lucky enough to host it in the pub. But we've all the same sort of characters. There's dressing up, there's a cake with tokens in it, and the master can become the slave, or the servant become the master, and it's just a big old riot really that happens on 12th night. The other big one is Easter. And Easter is an interesting. The Fat Tuesday itself. The Easter festival, I'm sure many of you know, Easter was actually named after the goddess Istra, and this was a festival that happened around the spring equinox, that's the one, yeah. And she was the goddess of fertility, as you can see, was represented by rabbits and eggs and all the rest of it. And Easter became this, it was an ancient festival that actually was ultimately assimilated into Christian sort of church as well, and that became, a big deal. And then, if you take your Easter Sunday, you go basically 40 days back from that, not including your Sundays, you'll end up on Fat Tuesday, or Lent, as it was, which is starts on Ash Wednesday. That's the bit where we're all meant to behave ourselves, and we're meant to give up stuff. We're meant to give up drink, or meat, or whatever it might be. Various sort of vices. I'm not going to get too heavily involved in that. But so in its own way, that's why Carnival or Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, became such a big party in everywhere, because it's the last day you could do anything, theoretically as far as the church was concerned. So everyone used to let their head down, particularly around anywhere related into the Catholic Church around the world. This was a big party day. So Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday. I'll do my Michael Caine bit now. Not a lot of people know, but you lot probably do actually. The word carnival, carnevale, means farewell to meet, and goodbye to farewell to me. And so we have carnival, it's just like carnival, isn't it? We have it over here in carnival in August or whatever, but the roots are there, it means farewell to meet. Fat Tuesday, all of those things. So, and it's celebrated all over the world. In Rio, for example, we have this incredible things. In Venice, this is Trinidad, where they have a 2-day festival, but it's always peaks on the actual Fat Tuesday day itself. This is in Barcelona, which was only started again in the 80s because it was banned under Franco for about 50 years. So they've just really got that going again over there. Even in Cologne and in Germany, they have a massive Fat Tuesday Mardi Gras sort of day, again based largely around the Catholic Church, and they do crazy things like in Germany, like cutting the ties off people. It's crazy there. And in good old England, we have Pancake Day. So it's an inauspicious start in its own way to actually have something there. But being aware of that history of exuberance and joy all around the place. I guess it was a religious thing. It ended up, the Protestant thing wasn't too much into that side of it. But New Orleans is obviously the other big one, which is Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras being the French influences, and so Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. It's arguably the biggest, well, it's certainly the biggest one in the US of A, and one of the biggest ones and most famous ones in the whole world. And Mardi Gras actually begins in New Orleans on 12th night. They have a massive 12th night, which is very, very similar in character to everyone else. So, and it carries on. They have a second line bands playing around it, and massive parade. So it goes on for months. Literally, it starts as soon as 12th night. 12th night doesn't actually finish Christmas. It just starts another thing going. So it's not actually the end of something, it's actually the start of something else. Which is, it's a really interesting thing. I chucked this in because it's so weird, but they have cakes, and inside the cake they have a coin. They have a king cake, and if you get the coin, you're the Mardi Gras king. If you have this creepy, weird-looking baby thing, which symbolises Jesus, apparently, but now he's actually being used as a mascot for the New Orleans Pelicans basketball team. The baby. Obviously, they have beads, and they have crews, rather like our bonfire societies. They have about 100 different crews. So they get together, they build these floats. They're very tight sort of community, again like bonfire societies, and they just have these amazing names. I'll read some out because they're so funny. So so there's a mystic crew of Comus, the Knights of Momus, the crew of Proteus, the crew of Endominium, the crew of Bacchus. There's so many of them, and they build these most amazing sort of floats. These look like the Oompa Loompas up there, but they're very tight units, and they work all year round to actually make these amazing floats. So these guys, this group here, is the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. These are African Americans, they're white guys, there's a whole mixed bunch of people. They all black their face up, and they have a proud sort of tradition of this, but it's just a very interesting mix sort of scene over there. Okay. One other side of it is the Mardi Gras Indians, and these are called the Black Mask Indians. And there's a group of these guys, again going back. This tradition goes back hundreds of years really. Some of the slave that were there used to run away, and they were effectively adopted by some of the local Indian tribes, and they have roots that they can trace back to this, and they celebrate that tradition. Amazing sort of culture. They make these costumes afresh every year, and they're literally making these things. Yeah, so they and again there are about 40 different tribes. There are 40 different tribes of these guys. They all have roles within it. They have a spy boy. On Mardi Gras, they will go round their own different quarters in New Orleans, and they basically try to avoid each other, because if they do actually arrive at the same corner at the same time, neither will give way. So they don't actually want it kicking off. So they have a guy up front with the spy boy, try to avoid actually confrontation. Then have a flag boy, and that's a really interesting aspect of New Orleans as well. So the Cajun Mardi Gras, so the Cajun people, which is kind of my entry point into the whole Fat Tuesday Mardi Gras aspect of it. So the Cajuns, they lived in Nova Scotia, what we now call Nova Scotia, which is off the coast of Canada, Northwest America. And during the French and English sort of conflict that was happening in the 1800s, the French people there, they called it Acadie, which is where Cajun comes from. And the British governor, we actually beat the French in that particular part of it, said, well, you basically you can stay if you want, but you basically have to become British, or you can off, sort of thing, which they elected to do. So they went all the way down the eastern seaboard, right around Florida, up into Louisiana, which was still a French colony about that time, and they settled right in the swampy sort of areas of western Louisiana and brought their own culture with them. But they do their own Cajun version of a Mardi Gras, and a lot of you guys will have seen these creations, clowns, whatever they are, out on Mardi Gras Day. And off we go. There's the accordion, got me into so much trouble. And this is our own group, yeah. So we came up with our own Cajun Mardi Gras troupe, and some of mates of ours do actually go over to New Orleans or to Louisiana, and the guys over there just couldn't believe that we were in Britain because the outfits are so convincing. Everyone's so unique. And talk about masks. You know, masks is a thing which is a recurrent thing which keeps coming back in carnivals everywhere you see it. And the obvious reason, because it's a leveller. You can be a king, you can be a slave or whatever. Everyone's actually on the same level. So you're kind of never more visible, but never more invisible in a way, in the sense of that. So the masks are about that. But so the idea of the Cajun Mardi Gras troupe, by the way, was that they would go around a bit like our mummers today. They would go around different houses, begging for chickens or food or whatever, on horseback generally, and a great mess of these sort of people, and just making mischief because no one could tell who they were, essentially, and just beg for booze or meat or whatever it was to have a big party meal, a big gumbo sort of stew. This is an introduction for a film called Dance for a Chicken, which was. But I really love this because you'll see there's a captain who theoretically meant to keep all these people under control. But he generally does. They're uncontrollable sort of troops. So this shows them arriving at a farm. The captain comes up, so maybe come in, and you'll hear the farmer say, "Well, yeah, if they go, but make sure we keep them on the road." So yeah, okay, and you'll see what happens anyway. So
Okay, then.
yeah, okay.
No, Chuck. Want to move here? Yeah, you keep them on the road until you get into the pasture around here, and I'll give them a chicken in the pasture. We'll try to keep them on the road if possible. See if I can. Okay.
You can watch the whole film online. It's so good. Oh, who's that handsome fella? So I had this band called the Cajun Dogs, and we were playing that sort of music really, and it was fun. I'd sort of come out of the folk tradition, playing Morris stuff and Irish stuff and everything. So with this accordion and a band that were playing sort of bluesy, Cajun-y sort of stuff. So I kind of needed to find a way of promoting it really, or just because. You just need to get your band out there and So yeah, so I had this. So I approached the Brass Monkey, who's owned by a lovely pub. It's just closed, unfortunately. It was owned by my couple of guys, Simon and Peter, and said, "Do you fancy if I put a night on a Shrove Tuesday or Pancake Day, whatever it is, and we put ourselves on? Whoever's the biggest band in town, we would support them." So they were great game blokes. I said, "Yeah, sure." So I did it with the Buick 6 one year, and that was great. And then I brought the Carnival Collective over from Brighton, again a great night. And then Rummico Junior, and we supported them this time. And it was just a Tuesday night sort of gig, and gradually I involved a couple of other little pubs in it was yeah, just getting by, promoting the idea of the band, and the fact of just getting involved. you're probably figuring, I got quite obsessed with New Orleans and all that stuff. To the point where one Sunday morning, we're in a high-vis jerkin, aided my... I went and changed all the road signs into Hastings to say Twin Win New Orleans rather than the birthplace of television. And the idea was that it was a easily removable temporary adhesive, but I never got round to taking them off. By the time I did get around to taking it baked hard on all the things. And the funny thing was that, because obviously no one knew about it, no one at the council knew, we didn't tell anyone about it. And all the different departments in the council just assumed another department had actually. So they were there for about 6 months. And people were complaining. They said, "How fucking council's useless? We've twin and they haven't told anyone about it." And then people were phoning up and saying, "Well, you know, why haven't you done this?" And but there was some hard and fast thinking about it, and I did. You know, I could sense parallels between what New Orleans is. It's full of musicians. It's a incredibly creative place. It's a melting pot of all different types and social strata. It's arguably frowned upon by its more religious sort of more upper class neighbours, more right wing neighbours, to the point where I think when the hurricane happened there, a lot of them said, "Well, it's divine retribution for the way you actually carry on down there." It's even kind of the same place on the map as we are, really. So it didn't seem too much of a stretch, really, just to have that. And certainly the spirit that I'd seen there within the Mardi Gras and everything else, and what I'd learned about Cajun culture and you know, it just seemed a good fit, really. So that was my kind of starting point of it. But the gigs we've been doing at the Brass Monkey, it kind of reached the pitch, really. And I couldn't really sort of take it any further within that, and I certainly lacked the ability to actually bring it forward, which is when I met this bloke, and here he is, in our school's playground where our kids were at the same school. And he said, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, yeah. Well, I wait for the camera. I'm like an event manager." "Oh, that could be useful." I've got this thing called, you know, Hastings Mardi Gras. And I think it could be a bigger thing, knowing what I know about the scene down here. Would you be able to help me? And the first year he couldn't because he was too busy with his work. But the second year he said, "Yeah, okay, I can give you a hand." And we had a bit of a rebranding exercise. We changed it from Hastings Mardi Gras to Hastings Fat Tuesday, because at the very least, even people didn't know what Mardi Gras was, which hardly anyone did. At least they'd know it was on a Tuesday. And then you could explain to them what it was, some of the background thing, why it's on a Tuesday and all the rest of it, because, you know, it really wasn't really part of our culture here at all, but it now is. And so we did our first Hastings Fat Tuesday on February 2010.
Yeah. So it's been a bit of a journey since then.
Yeah.
So my background is sort of theatre and music industry, and I went kind of corporate some time back. So I ended up working on large exhibitions and events and public street theatre and that kind of thing. So I've got some really good kind of industry contact, which I was always kind of pulling on. Me and Bob kind of workshopped this idea. It was nuts. We only did it once, which was this kind of linear Fat Tuesday event where we had kind of a first half, which was, I think, about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then the venues put on a band after we'd finished. So I think we started in a year. We've kind of tried to make videos every year just to capture the spirit of the event. So I think we started in the Philo, then we went to Jenny Lynn's, then Dragon Bar, then Anchor, and then we all got in buses over to Bizarro, so we're kind of carrying people.
We actually created this sort of proscenium archer theatre sort of front thing that was we had to dismantle and then rebuild at the next place. And the Bonfire Boys were very helpful in that. So we take it down, set it up again in the next pub, and then pull the curtains back and act was actually behind that.
It features in the video we've just seen. We're going to watch that in a minute. It's seven pieces. first year, you can see a huge amount of people involved in just getting it together. It was all, you know, seat of the pants, lots of favours. Most people didn't get paid. They had a tiny, tiny little budget. The business model was that the venues basically paid us what they would pay for a band, and then we just kind of made it work really. Subsequently, in the following year, we sort of changed the model a little bit to so that we basically had we still kind of did the tour thing, but then we came up with a 20-minute sets, 6 20-minute sets in several venues. The band's playing 3 times for 20 minutes, and then the after party and what have you. You might have noticed very young Dr. Savage in that, in a couple of places. He played in the Anchor. Rachel, his wife, picked me up and done this guy from Dr. Savage.
Where you gonna now the violence of mighty soldier? Lay down your gun. Where you gonna now the death of the woman? It's when they get you to all my child soldiers round the world. Moses brings the head of the old and the brother. Did you have to be a conqueror? Did you have to be a conqueror? I tell you, fight down the murderer, fight down murderers, fight down or even do worse. I know you've been a sufferer, but things can change. Never liberator, when you find your God. We see that you're taking well. We know what you feel to tell. You should be out, hanging out, not learning how to care. Fight your sword down, lay down your gun. Where you go another violence, almighty sword down, lay down your gun. You gonna now the best of everyone. Rude boys, especially in the Hastings area. I want to see you lay down your gun, lay down your knives, lay down all the treasure, lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. This is no kind of life. You're much too young to die. See the father's devastation, hear the mother's cry. Righteous soldier, lay down your gun. Oh, mighty soldier, lay down your gun. Mighty soldier, da, 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 ooh. Mighty soldier, everything you Yes, you want to be a conqueror, I tell you. To fight down the murderer, fight down murderers, fight down evildoers. You be a liberator. Mighty soldier, lay down your gun. Where you going now the violence, the mighty soldier, lay down your gun. Where you going now the best of the world. Even if you survive, you be so fucked up on the inside. There is something daughters, not the spirit man. Lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Yes, lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Lay down your gun and lay down your rifle. Lay down. Mighty soldier, lay down your gun. Where you going now the violence, the mighty soldier, lay down your gun. Where you going now the violence, mighty soldier.
Yeah, very, very impressive. You might have noticed the backdrop. That was courtesy of Canon Paris Expo. A couple of things happened at the time. Well, I have to say, brilliant. Joe, the sound engineer, was a Joe, the sound engineer at Carlisle, recorded and mastered that off the desk, and you know, I think you'll agree the sound quality is great, and the students did a brilliant job with that video. Yeah, I didn't have time to put the holding slides, so you see what we're coming on to next. But about that time so that was 2014. The first 2 years we kind of just borrowed bits of kit of local musicians, and it was of mixed quality. There was another playground friend, which is Trapper. I don't know if any of you know him, but he became a very good friend. He very experienced backline technician. He introduced me to Jimmy at Music Bank, who started giving us proper pro kit as a kind of, we were the only event that Music Bank actually sponsored. It was fantastic, so it meant that we had really good high quality equipment, and London Drum Company also, great drum kits and what have you. We know he's a company called John Henry because Music Bank's gone, and it's kind of, that whole process has made the whole event much more professional, and yeah, it really shows. Trapper also was a stage manager for Skunk Anansi, so that was a fantastic coup in 2013. Unfortunately, there's no footage of it. It's a real shame. But she headlined in the Carlisle, and it was probably one of the most incredible gigs of all time. Really, for me, it was amazing. She crowd walked inside Carlisle, as she does, crowd surfing, amazing gig. So, about this time, I guess, can't really remember, it's about this time, we started talking about having this Fat Tuesday kind of bookmark the beginning of the year, you know, get out, beginning of spring's around the corner. And so we came up with Voodoo Fest. Bob did.
Like a Halloween gig, yeah.
Our
The
Halloween
idea
gig.
was because we're so lucky in Hastings. I mean, the whole calendar is so full of Jack in the Green, Pirate Days, Old Town Weeks, bonfires, and to try and actually find a slot amongst all of that noise, or you know, so it was in it, you know, to have Fat Tuesday, just fill the gap between Christmas and Jack in the Green, and after bonfire, you know, a Halloween sort of gig was just, so the idea was they were kind of like bookends, related bookends of the year really, and it's gone a little bit smaller scale now for various sort of reasons, but. It's still, you know, where else would you take a, you know, coffee round?
Very
The
music.
jazz band on a rainy Monday night if it's the 31st of October. But it's a, you know, Hastings, one of my early thoughts is, you know, if you're conceiving of a festival, if it involves drinking, dressing up, walking down the street, banging the drum, Hastings will turn up for it every day of the week. So you're onto a winner with that.
Of course, just say that the early years as well, which is come true. You know, if you say loudly enough, say that the early years as well, which is come true. You know, if you say loudly enough and consistently enough that Hastings is like, it's always been brilliant musicians. We've always had a great history of live music. When we started doing this, it was a lot of cover bands on Sundays and what have you. But nowadays, there's a huge amount of original live music you'll see all over town, which is fantastic. And just it came like a self-fulfilling prophecy that Hastings is this fantastic place for music. You know, certainly in the southeast, it's like the epicentre of.
And some of the young bands like Kikapichi, Hot Wax more recently, have just grown up within this, with this as a background to their youth, essentially, growing up to empower them to go on to some really like Mary White and you know, and it's
Jamie Smart. There's been lots
Sam
of
Wills,
Sam Wills, the Triangle.
yeah.
We were lucky enough to get some bits of money at various occasions. We got some money off the Foreshore Trust, and then we did a competition. Kikapichi won, so we had about £3,000 to help them in the early days with the touring and some merch and what have you, and you know, being one. So we've come on. There's more growth as well, but just play this film because this is probably Voodoo Fest at its biggest. We had 2 floors of the Carlisle and 2 stages and a really good parade.
And the Fat White Family,
Fat White
lead singer, did it butt naked, didn't
He
he?
did it absolutely naked. Yeah.
Which we don't have it on film.
Hastings, on the face of it, a regular coastal seaside town. But scratch beneath the surface, and you will find that it hides a dark and sinister secret.
background helping out. Very, very young incarnation of Dicky Dixie. The film was made by Tom Dobson, thank you. One of the contributors. Very important to give everyone a thank you and a credit for these things. So that's one of the spin-offs from Fat Tuesday, was the Fat Tuesday second line band. We used to work with Jazz Caverners, and there was a massive falling out of the Jazz Caverners in the 1066.
The jazz.
Yeah, the Jazz Club, and they must have been a falling out at some point, so they wouldn't do an umbrella parade for us. And then so we came up with the umbrella parade idea and asked Rob League to put together a kind of funky New Orleans type second line band, and that's kind of led on to several things. These days we've got our own youth second line band, which is fantastic. So they meet every week. We also have Fat Tuesday Club, which is under 18s, is it? But we've got some sponsorship from Roger Daltrey and the Late Jam Foundation. Some other great spin-offs like Sally.
Well, yeah, Fat Tuesday Club that actually meets weekly during term time. But actually, we've got quite a lot of funding through youth music to develop Fat Tuesday Club, but also a whole range of other youth activities, including having a youth curatorial panel who can feed into helping us to curate Fat Tuesday Festival, but they also were really heavily involved in promoting and curating and producing our sort of Skinny Sunday, which was a festival, youth-led music festival summer. So I think really, I mean, a big thing about the development of Fat Tuesday is that we want to have this year-round programme of activity.
Obviously, we struggled this year, we'll come to that, but we've still really focused on maintaining that funding for our youth work. And I actually completely ruined my introduction to you, Sally, because in about 2013, there was a band called Dory the Rise. They had this manager, Sally, and over the years it kind of pulled Sally into the organisation, and now Bob's stepped to one side. Myself and Sally head up Fat Tuesday, which has been fantastic for us. We always have a Dory the Rise connection as well. I found out this evening.
Oh yeah, Hayden.
There you go. So yeah, one of the other things is an artist called Daly Pockets. I don't know if anyone you knew him. He's a great friend of mine, and he was very much more into electronic, avant-garde, experimental, and he persuaded me to give him a bunch of cash every year that he would then curate some artists in various interesting venues. And Compendium Studios in St Leonard's, first year round, we kind of we've always tried hard to do something in St Leonard's, and the early years it was very, very difficult. Now we've kind of nailed it with the Unplugged was very successful in St Leonard's, which is fantastic. The initial Sonics was in St Leonard's, and then that's moved around to the Tippler, the OU building back in the day. And it's become a really important part of the festival. We do this video, again back to show you the projection string curtain was also courtesy of the Canon job in Paris. And the projection was by a company called Blue Eye, who are great friends of mine that I work with a lot and give them a lot of work, so this is a kind of a little bit of a favour coming back. For me, over the years, production values have always been really important, and I love the songs, particularly this one. So I'll play that now, just to show you some of the other stuff we do. That was a very exciting project. We commissioned a lot of local digital artists to produce much of the, all of the visual art was created by a number of local artists. So it was a fantastic project. Of course, we had the radiophonic workshop, which was a big coup. There were the old boys we saw in that. I played this. Where I'm going to go from here. This is so that's kind of it. I was going to show you this last video, which was 2023, which was a really great year for us, and that's a time ahead of it. We ran a fantastic crowdfunding campaign. A huge amount of generosity. Everyone did it. So thank you so much. East Sussex County Council were very generous. Curb Pusher with the record that we have on sale outside. Many individuals, the Carrot Foundation. Anyway, it's just been really touching and fantastic for the city. So we slightly trimmed back programme this year, but we have the Friday, Fat Friday, which will be at the Albion. Unplugged Saturday, obviously that's a big favourite. Under the radar at the Tippler in St Leonard's, which is nice to very young artists and platform. Sonics at the Pig on the Saturday and Sunday. Slim Monday is the longest running event. Toby's done every single Fat Tuesday, including during COVID. Fat Tuesday tours is the main event. The Reggae Room is really
involved in the arts, doing organisation, exhibition, and as an organisation, you know, I suppose in a way we sort of knew that at some point that funding was not necessarily going to be there. So we've been thinking about it, and we knew we knew potentially that it was going to happen. And I think for us, what was absolutely crucial this year was that we could still have a Fat Tuesday. You know, at one point we thought that might not be possible, but I think we were really determined that the two key events that we put on that are free, they're open access, it means that anybody who lives down here can have access to really brilliant, high quality, you know, music at that time. That if we could actually put those 2 days on, so our Unplugged Saturday and our Fat Tuesday tour, that was our focus. And
everything's free.
And you know, that's the thing, is that, you know, there are lots of models out there where you can generate an income, you know, you can have wristbands and people have to pay to get into venues, and we just don't want to go down that route. That's not what Fat Tuesday is about. It's not what, you know, Bob, when you started it, that's not what you wanted. And we don't want to continue like that. So, you know, we need to find ways to make this viable in the future, which we'll continue to do. So it's fantastic. You know, we always talk about having 5 days of music and Mardi Gras, and we've got 5 days of music and Mardi Gras. It might be slightly different this year, but it's still going to be absolutely amazing.
You know, so, but thank you for supporting and continue to do so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.